Hello everyone, and welcome to The Basics of Narrative Writing by Samantha Meyer and Carrie French. What is narrative writing? Before we can talk about the components of narrative writing, we should define it. When people hear the term narrative, they often think of personal narratives, but this can be misleading as narratives are much more. A narrative is a series of written words or spoken words used to convey meaning. Now that we have a general idea about what a narrative is, we can talk about the different components that make it up. The elements of structure in a narrative writing include the plot or the rising and falling events that take place, the setting or the place and the time, the characters or those who are involved in the story, the theme, the overall takeaway of the book, and the point of view, who's telling the story. Now we have a general definition of each element, but let's take a more in-depth look at each one. Let's look at plot. The plot is the backbone of every narrative. A plot must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It must also have conflict or some kind of trouble for the main character or similar characters, and plot development or a gradual rise, climax, and fall to the plot. Having a good plot is essential to having a good narrative. If the plot is confusing or not well put together, the reader may become disinterested with the story. Setting is also important when writing a narrative. If an author can relate to the reader's senses when creating a setting, he or she has fully immersed the reader into the narrative. This will keep the reader's attention, and an intricate description of the setting will also ensure that they are on the right track throughout the story. Aspects of the setting that the writer can choose to focus on are location, weather, time, and time period. The author must also elaborate on the characters of his or her narrative in order for it to be effective. He or she must provide a vivid description of the important characters, must keenly describe the actions of these and other characters within the narrative, and must provide important monologues and dialogues of these characters in order for the reader to understand them. In most narratives, either the characters are directly influenced by the plot is influenced by the main characters, or there is a combination of both. Another important aspect in a narrative is theme. In a narrative, theme is the meaning or idea being expressed by the author through his or her writings. Many people confuse the term theme with subject when discussing works of literature. The main difference is, a subject is the topic of the writing, while a theme is generally a lesson to be learned. Themes can be either explicit or implicit. Explicit themes are stated aloud. Implicit themes are given through the character's actions, monologues, or dialogues. The next aspect of narrative writing is point of view. In first-person point of view, the author is telling as if they are one of the characters. In omniscient point of view, the author is telling as if they see and know all. In limited omniscient, the author sees and hears the thoughts of others, but does not know all, as in omniscient. Objective point of view is one in which the author can only document what is being seen or heard. You can also use alternating or multiple viewpoints in one story. Next up is narrative devices, also known as literary devices. There are many of these, but today we will only focus on the main 5. Imagery, metaphors, similes, personification, and hyperboles. Imagery can be described as a very detailed description. Metaphors and similes are very similar as they both compare things. Similes, however, usually use words such as like or as. Personification endows human characteristics to animals or objects, and hyperboles are used to exaggerate. Now that you know the basics of narrative writing, you can participate in our activity. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.
Created using Powtoon.